Okay, before this review gets started, I need you all to do me a favor. Go down to the description and subscribe to Stop Motion Reviewer's channel, and also check out the collab review I did with him. It was really fun to do, and I think you all would enjoy it. Having said that, on with the review.
Read the disclaimer. Doofus. And please contact us through this email address with questions or fan art. Thank you for your support.
Over the course of the past 2 years, I have come to know and respect a great deal of people through my YouTube channel. Some of them I respect because of the quality of editing present in their videos, others I've come to respect for making me constantly laugh my lungs out, and others still I have come to respect for their incredible generosity, such as Master Far and the individual that provided the subject of today's review. Salutations, denizens of the internet. I'm Firebite27, and let us commence our analysis of Transformers Reveal the Shield, Lugnut.
In vehicle mode, Lugnut turns into what you could ostensibly consider a pseudo-vintage World War II bomber plane. And, just for the sake of not acting like I know what I'm talking about when I don't, I have no idea what particular plane this is based off of. But I do think that this vehicle mode has a weirdly similar energy to that one massive bomber plane from the climax of the first Captain America movie. I mean, they obviously look nothing alike, but they're both awesome. Also, I love that the bad guys get these red tinted windows. It's just so cool, despite not being even remotely realistic. As far as special features go, we have a weird cannon at the back here, which pops down to reveal a missile launcher that looks like his own face. Jeez, I've heard about having your head up your own ass, but that's ridiculous. Which I unfortunately can't show you the function of because, well, SMR didn't include it when he sent it to me. Anyways, just so I don't have to cover it later in robot mode, here's all the weapon clips that are on this figure because there are a lot of them.
1 on each turret, 2 on each turbine, 3 under each wing, 1 on each wingtip, 2 on each side of the undercarriage, and 1 on the back under the third turret.
Oh, and the turrets can move, which I guess means we can include—
I'm not doing an articulation segment for those turrets.
Oh please, I insist.
I refuse.
Anyways, another fun thing you can do is mount the blast effects onto here. The blast effects from Siege and all the other lines use 3mm ports, which coincidentally is also what the clips used back in the Reveal the Shield / Hunt for the Decepticons / Generations 2009-ish, 11-ish lines. Also, I really don't want to sound like I'm talking out of my ass here, but I think this figure might actually have less paint than most modern figures, but at the same time it actually looks better. I think it's just the fact that, well, the paint that's on display here is so carefully applied and is so well thought out, so to speak. Like, you've got those white tampografs on the wings, you've got the red and white jaws of a monster on the cockpit side, then you've also got the bronze on the turrets and the turbine engines, as well as the neon yellow and black for the caution stripes. It's really cool and really effective. Same goes for the sculpted detail. There's a lot less of it, so to speak, but it's a bit more spread out, and it looks cleaner, and also doesn't look as busy as some modern figures. It's just a pleasant reminder of why this figure and the era that it came out in was so special. However, I can't say that these kinds of tampografs are missed. But what I can say is missed with some confidence is the size of these figures. Here's Reveal the Shield Lugnut next to my last review, SS86 Cup, my next review, Beast Machine's Mega Class Rat Trap, the first RTS figure I reviewed on this channel, Optimus Prime, The last flight-based Decepticon that I reviewed on this channel, Kingdom Cyclonus, and a standard Qtama, standard can of sparkling water, and Fraudside. Now, before I close out the vehicle mode segment, I should probably talk about some issues with the mode. And I only have one, though I should claim that I feel that this is a nitpick at its worst. But essentially, my complaint is that the wings and turbines are formed from the arms and shoulders, which means that it can be pretty easy to disalign the wings and make them all crooked and make it look as though this jet isn't flight-worthy. And the only reason I'm giving this a pass is because, well, the shoulder joints are ratcheted, so they can hold up over time and they won't flop down easily unless you, like, flung it around with your arms like a maniac. And since the wings literally are Lugnut's arms, you can make the plane mode do all kinds of push-ups and do weird other things with the hands. And even have him flap like a majestic bird.
Oh, this is some f***ing National Geographic shit!
Now, Lugnut, transform. Lugnut's transformation is, well, fantastic. I'm not sure if there's any other way to put it. The entire transformation is somewhat over-engineered, like the chest, the wings, and the legs all work in weird and unconventional ways, but I get the feeling that most G1ers and young children wouldn't struggle figuring out the transformation, unlike something like ROTF Dead End. And even though it lacks a great deal of the original character's purple, it's undeniable that this is, beyond all shadow of a doubt, the Cycloptic Cybertronian that has an even bigger man crush on Megatron than my friend the stop-motion reviewer has on Adam Driver. That is Lugnut. Though, if this punching gimmick is anything to go off of, Lugnut might actually be a practitioner of magic sunlight punches. And speaking of these three-fingered talons, damn they are cool! Even though animated Lugnut clearly had some kind of crab claw, but with him top-loading all of that into the upper torso, it makes his waist look as though it's been squeezed through a corset for years and years on end. Trying to get some kind of world record, I bet. Although, while this figure may seem perfect on the surface, I still have my complaints. Don't worry, they are again very few, and also a bit petty in some instances, but it's still a bother. Let's just get them over with. First off, I do not like the fact that there is absolutely no shoulder rotation. This is because I'd like him to be able to reach in front of himself further, but I can't get him to. Not to mention, while he does have outward movement, forward and back movement is important, more so than outward movement, I'd say. My second complaint is relevant to this, and it's still rather petty, but I wish they'd also given him wrist articulation. But I can understand why they didn't, cause that would have been a nightmare to engineer. My second complaint, which held a bit more water, was that the figure's joints were overly loose when I got it. Benefit of the doubt, though, it is, like, what, a dozen years old at this point, so some joint loosening is to be expected. However, I had to go in with some super glue and tighten up those joints. More specifically, I had to tighten up the joints in the thigh rotations and also the ball joints in the ankles. Apart from that, though, the joints on this figure were pretty tight. Third and final complaint, the light piping is utterly bloody useless. It doesn't matter how close or how bright the light is, because no matter how great either of those things are, the light literally will not travel from the back of his head up to his eye. And the only way you can make it glow is to basically make him deep throat an LED. And honestly, I can totally see why this figure is a valid argument in the light piping makes a figure look dead if a light source isn't directly above it argument. Though, is that really a problem for Lugnut? He really doesn't do living. He's just a mindless drone at best. And at worst, he's a simp donating $1,000 to a VTuber in a single super chat. Except the VTuber in question literally happens to be a military dictator. Wait, that goddamn simile doesn't work for shit. But anyways, there are other elements that make this figure feel alive, such as the articulation.
Lugnut features a ball-jointed head, hinged jaw, ratcheted shoulder spread, rotating bicep, and bicep hinge, hinged elbow, fingers hinged at the lower and middle knuckles, rotating waist, universal hip joints, thigh swivels, double jointed knees that allow you to break his legs,
My leg!
ankles that rock back and forth, ball joints for a horizontal ankle tilts, and bending toes and heels.
Honestly, Reveal the Shield Lugnut is one of those figures that makes me regret having picked up so many Legos when I was younger instead of Transformers. Partly because it's so rare, but also because it's really good, and I was way too laser focused on getting more Legos instead of getting Transformers. Anyways, that's not really important. Onto the size comparisons. Here's RTS Lugnut next to Cup, Prime, Rat Trap, Cyclonus, a standard Qtama, a standard can of sparkling water, and Broadside. In closing, Lugnut is freaking fantastic. He's a perfect update of the animated character, or nearly perfect, and I'd honestly recommend him, but aftermarket prices prevent me from doing so. Also, don't plug in the blast effects whenever he's in robot mode, it just looks goofy.
My nipples explode with delight!
So, in conclusion, would I recommend Reveal the Shield Lugnut? About that. Yes, this figure is amazing, and it was very much ahead of its time. However, with the prices it's going for currently on the aftermarket, I wouldn't recommend buying one. I mean, the price isn't gonna stop me from giving this figure a 10 out of 10, but still, it's a little overpriced. Having said that, it's not going to prevent me from awarding this figure a flawless 10 out of 10. Not something that's exactly easy to acquire, but it is super good. Again, the only thing is I'd really like on this figure, which it doesn't already have, are a wrist swivel and just a shoulder rotation. Apart from that, perfect. And on that note, I'd like to remind you all to go and check out SMR's channel. Please do so. Subscribe to him. He is very close to reaching 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love to be part of the reason why he gets there. And in addition to that, thank you, Stop Motion Reviewer, for giving me this figure. This was... wow. Thank you. I'm honestly still a little shocked that I got this figure. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, also, go support both of us on Patreon. Links to both of our Patreons will be in the description. And with that being said, this is Firebite27, over and out. And don't forget, all hail the glory of Megatron! God, I'm a dumbass.